choose you!
Hi, I'm Professor Silver, and today I'll break down the history of Ash's Gengar, detailing how he went from a vengeful spirit into one of the anime's greatest Pokemon. I previously covered Gengar's history a few years back, but at the time I made the video, only half of Journeys had aired. Rather than continue where I left off, I thought it'd be more fun to retell Gengar's story from the beginning. While the anime never confirmed Gengar's gender, I'll refer to him as male like he was in the games. Without further ado, let's get into it. This video is brought to you by Vessi. No joke, Vessi is my favorite sponsor on the channel. I've got over a dozen pairs, and I wear at least one of them every single day. They're seriously the best shoes I own. You know how some sneakers look stylish, but fall apart in the rain? Yeah. That's not Vessi. Their weekend sneaker is the easiest upgrade you can make to your wardrobe. They've got that classic, laid-back look, but unlike most sneakers, they're waterproof, breathable, and insanely comfortable. I throw them on in the morning, and they're ready for everything. Dog walking, travel, errands, and even coffee before filming. They slip on in seconds, which makes them perfect when you're in a rush. Oh, and pro tip. Don't sleep on the new Vessi socks. They're soft, moisture-wicking, and honestly feel like something a Snorlax would live in. Speaking of Pokemon, if you're a fan of Pokemon Go, I can't imagine a better shoe for catching new Pokemon and hatching eggs. Best of all, every purchase comes with a 30-day return window, so you can buy with confidence. If you want sneakers that actually keep up with you, go to vessi.com/silver for 15% off. The link's at the top of the description. Once you try a pair, you'll get why I wear my weekend sneakers every day. And now on to Gengar. Much like Charizard, Infernape, and Pignite, Gengar originally belonged to a wicked trainer who thought him worthless. Because of his mysterious origins, it's unknown how he evolved or when he was caught. While the trainer could have raised him from Gastly, his lack of compassion suggests otherwise. Had he raised Gengar, he might not have been so heartless and cruel towards him. As revealed in a chilling curse, the trainer hated Gengar and felt cursed by his presence. He won no battle and caught no Pokemon with Gengar by his side, so he blamed all his hardship on the ghost poison type and abandoned him outside a decrepit building. Like Charmander, Gengar didn't realize his trainer wasn't coming back. He waited day after day, month after month, clinging to the hope that they'd be reunited. But as the seasons passed, his hope curdled into resentment. Abandonment twisted Gengar from a fun-loving prankster into a dark facade of his former self. He grew to despise humanity and made no effort to hide it. Using cruel pranks, vicious attacks, and eerie hauntings, he drove every prospective buyer from his home. While many fled in fear, Professor Cerise was drawn to the thrill of owning a haunted house. He bought the building, turned it into his lab, and unknowingly adopted Gengar as his tenant. When Gengar realized his pranks didn't faze Cerise, he withdrew into the depths of the lab to wallow in his continued misery. His despair only deepened when the lab began to fill with cheerful new faces like Ren, Krissa, Go, Ash, and their many Pokemon. He couldn't stand to see their happiness, so he emerged from his self-imposed exile and best friend worst nightmare to make them miserable. The pranks made Gengar impossible to ignore. He startled Ren, ensnared Francois, and assaulted Pikachu. Amid the chaos, Ash and Go were so impressed that they aimed to make Gengar's power their own. After Gengar stopped them from capturing him, he shifted his fury towards Chloe because her affection for Yamper enraged him. He lashed out, only to be blasted off by the combined efforts of Pikachu and Yamper. Though defeated, Gengar wasn't gone for good. After returning at episode's end to plot his revenge, he confirmed his grudge in raid battle in the ruins. In a chilling curse, he emerged from the shadows fiercer, angrier, and more dangerous than ever. Pulling no punches, Gengar attacked Ren, spooked Krissa, and terrified Mime. His rampage only ended after seeing Ash throw himself in harm's way to protect Pikachu. Even after 3 years alone, Gengar couldn't bear to see the kind of bond he'd been denied. No sight angered him more than that of a loving bond between trainer and Pokemon. It seemed he fled when Cerise arrived, but in truth, he slipped into Ash's shadow. From within, he followed Ash everywhere, drained his energy, stole his warmth, and left him ill. Go suspected Gengar was behind Ash's trouble, but Ash refused to believe it. Rather than seek an exorcism, he tried to shake the curse with a vigorous run, only to literally collide with Gengar's old trainer. Like Damien and Seamus before him, the man spoke with smug cruelty. He was totally unapologetic about his treatment of Gengar. What set Gengar apart from his fiery predecessors was how quickly he saw the truth. He didn't need Ash to tell him his trainer was a jerk. He understood all on his own. The sting of abandonment led him to burst from Ash's shadow and viciously attack his old trainer. Gengar didn't want justice or reconciliation, he just wanted revenge. His goal was for his old trainer to feel all the pain he had carried for those many years. Pikachu saved the trainer and helped him flee, but Gengar was still livid. Overwhelmed and emotionally raw, he vanished to be alone with his thoughts. Ash chased after Gengar, not to catch him, but to console him. He and Pikachu couldn't bear the idea that Gengar felt like no one cared for him. Unfortunately, Team Rocket beat them to the punch. When Gengar refused to be their kindred spirit, James trapped him like only a true Ghostbuster could. That said, rescue from Ash came incredibly quickly. Once Ash and Pikachu tracked Gengar down, they broke him free and reminded him that goodness still existed in the world. It was Ash's goal to save him physically, emotionally, and spiritually. He wanted to lift his spirit and prove that life was still worth living. It was during the rescue that Gengar's icy vestige began to thaw. When Team Rocket attacked with a pair of Prize Master Dusclops, he fought alongside Pikachu in perfect harmony. Like his new friend, he fully trusted Ash with his loyalty. Because of all that had happened, the alliance wasn't just born of convenience. Gengar truly wanted to defend Ash and protect Pikachu. He unfroze Pikachu after the Pokemon was struck by Ice Punch, countered Nightshade, and seized victory with Shadow Ball. Ash was thrilled by the win, but exhaustion claimed him before he could celebrate. When he awoke, Gengar was cradling him and offering him apples. For a Pokemon that once resented Ash, it represented a complete change of heart. Finally ready to put aside his past and start life anew, Gengar offered Ash a Pokeball, signifying his desire to be caught. Without a moment's hesitation, Ash accepted the offer and captured Gengar. In doing so, Gengar became his first ever Ghost type. I still consider Haunter to be Ash's in spirit, but since it was never caught in a Pokeball, it remains more of a trusted friend than a true capture. All in all, getting caught gave Gengar a new lease on life. For the first time in years, he wasn't haunted by abandonment or consumed by bitterness. He was wanted, valued, and loved. Gone was the spiteful specter who lashed out at the world. In his stead stood a Gengar who laughed more and trusted deeper. While his love for Ash had fully blossomed, his penchant for chaos remained intact. Gengar showed early on that mischievous pranks were still his love language. As examples, he buried Ash in apples, scared Ren whenever possible, spooked Eevee and Groupie during their errand run, and even tried to frighten the alternate Ash from a different dimension. Even though Gengar loved pranks, it was only so long as he controlled the narrative. Because of his trauma, he snapped whenever someone assumed his mischief came from actual malice. For instance, he blew up at Ash for accusing him of stealing food, and threatened Ren when he suggested Gengar had kidnapped Grookey. Still, even at his grumpiest, Gengar was a far cry from his former self. He was happier, more open, and always ready to make friends. Gengar bonded not just with Ash, but also with his Journey's teammates, the Alolan crew, and even Go's Pokemon. No longer hiding in the shadows, Gengar had become a social butterfly. When Gengar wasn't goofing off with his friends or pulling pranks, he was sharpening his skills in the World Coronation series. Unlike with his first trainer, Ash never lost an actual match where he used Gengar in his lineup. That said, early on, Gengar struggled to stand out as an ace when compared to his teammates. During Ash's very first Coronation battle, in Destination Coronation, Gengar gave a glimpse of what he could become by doing what Pikachu couldn't and defeating Visquez's Raichu. Using his ghostly speed and intangibility, he dodged Thunderbolt, struck with Nightshade, phased through Raichu's tail, connected with Ice Punch, intercepted Volt Tackle, and finished up with Psychic. Just as Gengar seemed unstoppable, Visquez summoned Electrode and flipped the script. Electrode activated Magnet Rise, bounced around to build momentum, evaded Nightshade, and won with Discharge. charge. Overall, the battle showed how Gengar's speed, unpredictability, and ghostly tricks gave Ash a weapon unlike any other. Gengar's true potential was still locked away, but the groundwork had been set for it to soon erupt. Gengar's next battle took place at the Coalossal Battle Festival in a festival reunion. Opposite Shalor Gym Leader Korrina's Mienshao in another World Coronation battle, he confirmed that speedy opponents were his Achilles heel. Mienshao darted in with acrobatics, broke through Psychic with U-turn, and swapped itself for Lucario, who quickly ended things with Bone Rush. Despite the loss, Gengar remained a vital part of Ash's World Coronation team. In Solitary and Menacing and Trials of a Budding Master, it's revealed that he helped Ash climb through the Great Class ranks by battling in several off-screen battles. Additionally, even outside the tournament, Gengar continued to prove himself as a world-class battler. In Sword and Shield The Darkest Day, he saved countless people by clobbering a Gigantamax Coalossal. Not long after Ash entered the Ultra class, Gengar battled Sunyshore Gym Leader Volkner's Luxray in Ultra Exciting from the shocking start. Ash swapped him in for Lucario, hoping that his unpredictability would disrupt Volkner's carefully calculated strategies. Initially, the gamble paid heavy dividends. Gengar dodged Snarl, landed Psychic and Nightshade, and forced Volkner to switch Luxray for Fan-Rotom. Yet, like Electrode and Mienshao before it, Fan-Rotom exposed Gengar's weakness to speed. It shredded Nightshade with Air Slash, evaded Ice Punch, paralyzed him with Thunder Wave, and sealed the win with Hex. Gengar didn't leave with a personal victory, but the damage he dealt definitely helped tip the match in Ash's favor. Regrettably, that battle would be Gengar's last for a while. His battling career came to an abrupt halt when he began devolving, first into Haunter, then Gastly, and finally an Egg, in Showdown at the Gates of Warp. The regression was triggered by a space-time distortion caused by the clash of Dialga and Palkia, and it was undone by Arceus' arrival. In the end, regaining his strength also reignited his determination. Gengar knew that if he wanted to stand alongside Ash's greatest battlers, he needed something that would set him apart, and Gigantamaxing was the key. Ash had no idea how to teach the phenomenon, so he, Go, and Gengar set out for Stow-on-Side in Galar to seek guidance from the city's Ghost-type gym leader. Their journey took an unexpected detour in the Spectral Express when a wild Spiritomb possessed Ash, forcing Gengar to team up with Go's Absol and a mysterious boy named Alistair to save him. Once Spiritomb was pacified, thanks in part to Gengar's incredible abilities, they resumed their trip. Upon arriving at the gym in the winding path to greatness, Ash, Go, and Gengar were stunned to learn that Alistair was the gym leader they'd been searching for all along. Alistair agreed to help Gengar master the new form, but there was only one problem. Gengar lacked the Gigantamax factor. No matter how many times Ash activated his Dynamax band, Gengar simply grew larger instead of transforming. To help Gengar achieve his goal, Alistair suggested Ash make Max Soup from Max Mushrooms. He promised the soup would enable Gengar to Gigantamax. In order to get the mushrooms, Ash and Gengar had to float past Galarian Corsola, escape a Trevenant, and repel a Dracloak. As the soup simmered, Gengar confided in Alistair that his desire to Gigantamax came from wanting to grow stronger and stay by Ash's side. After years of loneliness, he was determined to prove his worth and never lose his trainer's faith. When he finally drank the soup, his dream became reality. The Max Mushrooms had given him the Gigantamax factor. With Ash's help, Gengar could now tower over the battlefield like a ghostly gateway to the underworld, ready to swallow his opponents whole. Being able to Gigantamax didn't just change Gengar on a cellular level, it unleashed his true potential. Every battle from then on out was proof that his power was no longer hypothetical. The first test of this awesome power came in the episode Battling Turned Up to 11. In an Ultra Class match against Marnie's Grimmsnarl, Gengar came out swinging. He countered Spirit Break with Dazzling Gleam, landed Ice Punch, powered up Shadow Ball, and weathered False Surrender. On its end, Grimmsnarl responded by Gigantamaxing and unleashing G-Max Snooze. Dazzling Gleam softened the blow, but the move still left Gengar drowsy. Through sheer willpower alone, he shook off the effects and let loose a barrage of ghostly tricks. Unfortunately, Grimmsnarl held firm, struck back with Max Quake, and absorbed Shadow Ball with ease. With the tide turning, Ash finally Gigantamaxed Gengar. Stretching into the heavens, Gengar traded Max Ooze for Max Starfall, forcing Grimmsnarl to its normal form. Gengar pressed on with Max Hailstorm, but Grimmsnarl dodged, landed Spirit Break, and spun itself into a Fury with Darkest Lariat. Even G-Max Terror couldn't slow the assault. Still, Gengar triumphed in the end. As his Gigantamax wore off, he swallowed Grimmsnarl whole, endured a desperate stomping tantrum, and won the match with Shadow Ball. By winning, Gengar proved himself to be a true ace. He also advanced Ash to rank 15, and brought him one step closer to his battle with Leon. Rather than rest on his laurels, Gengar trained with Dracovish in catching the Aura of Fate and battled Hammerlock Gym Leader Raihan in Aim for the 8. Initially, Gengar struggled against Flygon. He dodged Steel Wing, but also missed Ice Punch, took major damage from Dragon Claw, and barely survived Crunch. It was only after he Gigantamaxed that he literally rose to the occasion. He inhaled Sandstorm, trapped Flygon with G-Max Terror, and blasted it into oblivion with Max Starfall. His next opponent, Goodra, proved to be just as powerful. It set Rain Dance, nailed him with Thunder and Hydro Pump, and sent waves crashing in with Surf. Gengar cut through Surf and took Goodra down with Max Starfall, but he fell at the same time from Hydro Pump's impact. By beating 2 of Raihan's 3 Pokemon, Gengar matched Lucario blow for blow in securing Ash's place at the Masters 8. Victory over Raihan proved Gengar belonged among Ash's best, but for the Masters 8, belonging wasn't enough. He needed to stand above them. In friends, rivals, lend me your spirit, Gengar found perfect mentors in Infernape, Charizard, and Ash's other fire types. They embraced him as one of their own because they understood his pain. With the exception of Talonflame and arguably Quilava, they were all former losers who had clawed their way back from doubt, defeat, and low self-worth. Each knew what it felt like to be counted out, and they were determined to help him never feel that again. Under their guidance, Gengar forgot Ice Punch and learned Will-O-Wisp. The move didn't just burn opponents, it symbolized the final thawing of Gengar's emotional walls and the full ignition of his fighting spirit. Gengar showcased his new power that same episode against Ash's old rival Paul in his Metagross. At first, Gengar couldn't land a single attack. Metagross put him on edge with agility, dodged Shadow Ball, crushed him with Psychic, and nearly defeated him with Meteor Mash. Just as defeat seemed inevitable, Gengar found his rhythm. Channeling Infernape's teachings, he landed Will-O-Wisp, chained it into Shadow Ball, and dropped Metagross like it was hot. With that victory, Gengar proved to everyone, including himself, that he was ready for the Masters 8. The Masters 8 was where Gengar truly shined. After years of ridicule, setbacks, and doubt, he now stepped onto the world stage, fighting champion-level opponents with Ash's fire types cheering him from the sidelines. Every match was a test, and every moment proved Ash's gamble on him had paid off. What Gengar's original trainer had thrown away, Ash had turned into a legend. During the competition quarterfinals, in battling as hard as stone, Gengar obliterated Hoenn champion Steven's Aggron. He seared it with Will-O-Wisp, shrugged off Smart Strike, and won out by shattering Rock Tomb with Dazzling Gleam. Next came Steven's Cradily, a far trickier foe. Cradily bound him with Power Whip, absorbed Sludge Bomb, healed itself with Ingrain, and unleashed Meteor Beam. Even after Gengar fought back with Dazzling Gleam, Cradily refused to let up. It blocked Shadow Ball, landed another Power Whip, and claimed victory. Still, Gengar had beaten a champion's Pokemon and helped advance Ash to the semifinals. While there, in Bewitch, Battle, and Bewilder, Gengar faced Sinnoh champion Cynthia's Roserade. He weathered Bullet Seed, traded Will-O-Wisp for Leaf Storm, and forced Roserade's retreat. Regrettably, his momentum stalled against her Spiritomb. It braved Dazzling Gleam and beat him with Sucker Punch. In the end, though, his efforts still contributed to Ash's ascension to the finals where he battled Leon. In a flood of torrential gains, Gengar battled Leon's Intelleon. The sniper struck first with Snipe Shot, repelled Shadow Ball, forced him into the shadows with Dark Pulse, and disoriented him with an Aqua Jet counter shield. With nowhere to hide, Ash had Gengar vaporize the shield with Will-O-Wisp. As Intelleon struggled to find Gengar, Ash decided it was time to Gigantamax. Once Gengar was in his ultimate form, he and Intelleon traded heavy blows. G-Max Terror prevented Intelleon from switching out, so Intelleon struck back with a dual-handed Snipe Shot. Afterward, it trudged off with Dark Pulse. The barrage forced Gengar out of his Gigantamax form a move early, but not before he overwhelmed Intelleon with Max Ooze. With Intelleon defeated, Gengar then fought Mr. Rime. He opened with Sludge Bomb, only for Mr. Rime to freeze both the attack and him with Freeze Dry. It then set up Psychic Terrain and finished him off with Expanding Force. Despite the defeat, Gengar's Cursed Body ability disabled Freeze Dry, setting the stage for Mr. Rime's eventual downfall. When Ash finally defeated Leon and became world champion, Gengar couldn't have been prouder. After all he had been through, he had proven himself as one of the world's strongest Pokemon. That he was able to do so alongside a trainer who loved him made the victory all the sweeter. While his original trainer had seen him as a curse, Ash had treated him like an actual treasure. With the Masters 8 over, Gengar entered a new chapter in life. Like most of Ash's Pokemon, he would split his time between Oak's lab and a rotational spot on Ash's team. After all the excitement of the Masters 8, Gengar's story found a quiet, heartfelt epilogue in getting to the heart of it all. No longer the bitter outcast haunted by his past, he'd found his place with Ash and purpose in life. In this last major adventure, his story came full circle. His mission wasn't to win a battle or get stronger, it was to help another lost soul find peace. When a troubled Banette started stealing heart-shaped trinkets, Gengar was among the first to give chase. He recognized the pain behind her mischief. It was the same pain he himself once carried in his lonely days. Like him, Banette had been abandoned and left without a trainer. Refusing to let Banette drift deeper into isolation, Gengar helped reunite her with her long-lost partner, Nurse Joy. In reuniting them, Gengar showed just how far he'd come. He wasn't just a powerhouse, he was the spiritual successor to Infernape and Charizard. Just as Ash had once lit the way for him, Gengar could now do the same for others. Fittingly, his final scene of the series, in the Rainbow and the Pokemon Master, saw him at Ash's side once more, helping search for a lost Charmander. It was a short scene, but a perfect send-off. It gave him one last chance to give his all for Ash, the trainer who saved him. As that concludes Gengar's story, let's get to his battle record. Gengar defeated 2 Prize Master Dusclops, Visquez's Raichu, Marnie's Grimmsnarl, Raihan's Flygon, Paul's Metagross, Steven's Aggron, and Leon's Intelleon. He lost to Visquez's Electrode, Karina's Lucario, Volkner's Fan-Rotom, Steven's Cradily, Cynthia's Spiritomb, and Leon's Mr. Rime. Gengar's one and only tie was with Raihan's Goodra. Move-wise, Gengar used Dazzling Gleam, Ice Punch, Nightshade, Psychic, Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb, and Will-O-Wisp. When Gigantamaxed, he also used G-Max Terror, Max Hailstorm, Max Ooze, and Max Starfall. Of all the characters in the Pokemon anime, few have undergone such a wild and drastic transformation as Gengar. He started as an angry soul and ended the series as a lovable oath whose power was only limited by his screen time. His origins may be recycled, but Gengar breathed new life into them, making his story just as compelling as his predecessors. He proved that no matter how dark your past, the right person can bring out your best, a truth that makes his underdog triumphs resonate. I especially love how the writers connected Gengar's trauma to Ash's fire types. His learning from them made it feel like they too were affecting the outcome of the Masters 8. Additionally, Gengar's relationship with Banette was just as impactful. It brought his journey full circle and showed the incredible impact that Ash has on his Pokemon. Overall, there's not much I'd change about Gengar. He's one of my absolute favorite characters in the series. It's the reason I did a whole video on why I love Gengar. It would have been fun to see his old trainer's reaction to him becoming champion level, but honestly, who cares what that loser thinks? Gengar never needed his approval. The fact that he, Ash, and all of us viewers know he's a star is all that really matters. On that, class is adjourned. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Vessi. Make sure to get a pair of their shoes for yourself by clicking the first link in the description. I'm Professor Silver. Until next time, catch you later.